Hello, my name is Amanda Fortune, and I am in negotiation and deal making for Full Sail University. And in this presentation, I will be providing a case study on Disney and Sony's negotiation for Spider-Man. Enjoy. To begin this presentation, I'll provide some background information regarding the partnership of Disney and Sony surrounding Spider-Man. Then I will discuss and analyze the negotiation process. Spider-Man is a widely popular character within the Marvel Universe, beginning with his own comic book in the 1960s. This comic book spawned several television shows that ensued in the following decades. In 1998, Sony purchased the licensing rights for Spider-Man and will retain them as long as they release a Spider-Man film every 5 years and 9 months. Since this purchase, Sony has gone on to produce 5 Spider-Man films between 2002 and 2014. In 2009, Disney purchased Marvel Studios for $4 billion, and in the hack of Sony studio emails in 2014, it was discovered that Sony was looking to revitalize Spider-Man with the help of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In 2015, it was announced that Sony and MCU reached an agreement where Sony would retain distribution rights and creative control, while the Marvel Cinematic Universe would receive 5% of first dollar gross and all merchandising revenues. Since this initial partnership, there have been 5 films featuring Spider-Man, with 2 of those being dedicated solely to Spider-Man. The latest movie, Spider-Man Far From Home, reached $1.1 billion worldwide and currently sits at 40 on top-grossing movies of all time. It is at this point that Disney would like to renegotiate their agreement with Sony on future Spider-Man films. Disney's bargaining position was that they wanted to take on 50% investment of the cost to produce the films and receive 50% of the film's profits. Their underlying interest is that they want to receive more profits from the films. Spider-Man has been revitalized as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and looks to continue its popularity in the future. Sony wants to keep the current agreement, which allows them distribution rights and retain creative control over the film, while keeping Disney at only 5% of first dollar gross profits and merchandising revenues. Sony's underlying interest is that they want to keep as much profit as possible from the Spider-Man films within their own company. Negotiations stalled when Sony took 6 months to counteroffer, at which point Disney closed the negotiations. This is an example of game theory or tit for tat. Disney punished Sony for not participating in the negotiation and walked away. One could argue that they knew the agreement would eventually be reached in the future based on Spider-Man's potential earnings alone. At this point, Tom Holland, the actor currently portraying Spider-Man, steps in as mediator. Tom has multiple films lined up with Sony and a strong relationship with Disney. He was able to voice the grave disappointment for fans to both sides, and after contacting both parties multiple times, was able to get Sony and Disney back to the negotiating table. Finally, an agreement was reached where Disney will provide 25% of the cost to produce the films and receive 25% of the film's profits. This created a win-win situation for both Sony and Disney. Sony will retain the majority of profits from the films while Disney increases their share. Both parties are very well aware of Spider-Man's current popularity and plan to release a new Spider-Man film in July of 2021. One thing that did not go well in the negotiation process was Sony's initial lack of counteroffer to Disney. This lack of communication lengthened the process and created tension. If Sony had stronger communication in the beginning of the process, there would not have been the need for a mediator, and there could have possibly been a more beneficial result for Sony. One thing that went well with this negotiation process is that both parties were open to mediation. While the actor Tom Holland may not be a professional mediator, he was a person with knowledge of both sides and was able to provide some perspective with the views of Spider-Man's fans should there be no further films from this partnership. This was ultimately a successful negotiation that will provide both companies with substantial revenues in the future.